Hey, howdy yo, all you fine, beautiful ass motherfuckers out in the world. We are back today talking about Scary Movie, Scary Movie 2, and Scary Movie 3. Because if you guys do not know, Scary Movie 6 is coming out 26 later on... Damn, I was really hoping they put it on June 6th, because that would have made it even funnier, but it's coming out on June 5th this year. So, Leo and I decided to come in, talk about the films, but before that, we got some legal stuff to go over apparently. Leo, do you want to put your little info meter in there or some shit?
It's not exactly legal, but before we got started, I just wanted to talk very quickly. This won't be a huge thing, but as I was telling Ryan the other day, I've made a slight change in the way that I rate some of these movies, particularly just everything that's 3 and below, like 3 out of 5 and below. In my personal rating system, I knocked it down a bit because I moved some of the reasonings, if that makes sense, for each rating. So it's not a huge thing, but going forward, the rating's gonna be a little different for me. And if you're returning back to other episodes, or if you haven't seen all the episodes in our catalog yet, if there's anything that's a 3 and below, just knock it down half a star, and we'll be good. So, yeah. Unfortunately for you, Ryan, that does mean that Mortal Kombat 95 went down half a star as well.
Dude, you've already gaslit me enough today about Mortal Kombat from last week.
I have not gaslit you once about this stuff. Dude, I just wanted to make that clear.
You've gaslight the fuck out of me.
You're gaslighting yourself.
I don't even want to hear it. No, dude. I just refuse to believe a week later that you...
Dude, I'm holding all the leverage here. I could easily go and change my ratings for these movies as well.
Hey, bro, don't do that at least on Scary Movie because...
I will give it half a star if you...
Well, bro, you can't do that. You have to at least go back and watch I Know What You Did Last Summer because that's where this film really takes a lot of its parodies from is I Know What You Did Last Summer. And obviously, they say Scream franchise, but at this point, I don't even think the third one had come out yet. And even if it did, it came out a few months prior. So a lot of the stuff they parody in from the Scream films are from the first two films. I don't really know how to go about navigating this conversation outside of what do you know about the Wayans brothers, because they're the ones that really made this franchise what I think people love about it, with Sean and Marlon playing Ray and Shorty. Dude, every time I say Shorty or think about Shorty, it just makes me laugh from this movie. But I do always forget the third brother, I think it is, Keenan Ivory Wayans, directed this one, and I'm trying to remember, he did the second one, and then that's where all the Wayans kind of subsided, and then the third one is the post-Wayans era. But I guess I'll just start off with, what did you think about this movie? Because I know you hadn't seen I Know What You Did Last Summer, and we did a whole rewatch of the Scream films a few months back.
I mean, going back to your original question, I've heard of them, obviously. They're very infamous, probably one of the more recognizable, parody films. At least, probably more beloved, with its fan base than other parody films as well. Obviously, I knew the Wayans brothers were in it and heavily in charge, let's say, of the first two at least. And yeah, I've seen clips before, and no, the clips that I've seen, at least from the first one, are definitely the funnier moments, I'd say. But yeah, so that's pretty much where my knowledge. Obviously, I knew the first one was I Know What You Did Last Summer in Scream. But the other two, I had really no clue what direction they were gonna go in. So that was pretty much.
I find it crazy that you've never seen a clip of I'm forgetting the maid, the guy with the messed up hand in the second one, where he just touches all the food.
Yeah,
and he shoves his hand in it. It's just dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I've never seen any of that stuff.
I think that's interesting because I feel when people think about Scary Movie, they kind of just think about the first two and then maybe the third one, and then 4 and 5, no one really thinks about.
Yeah, I've only ever seen 2 clips from the other films. Being in the third one, I've seen the clip of when they're making fun of the the scene where the main character's wife dies in the car accident, and there's another and honestly maybe it's not even from one of these movies. I just assumed it was, but there's a scene where Anna Faris is speaking like fake Japanese to some ghost child.
That's the fourth one, bro.
Okay.
Don't even. Yeah.
So I've seen that clip.
That's when they try to like mimic The Grudge, and it's just like it's so unfunny when it happens because you're just like, dude, what the fuck are you guys doing?
So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I've seen from the franchise before yesterday and today. Anyways, going back to your second question. As I was telling you before we jumped on, and kind of while I was watching the movies, I thought the first one was kind of like all right, and I just want to preface this by saying that I'm not saying these movies are bad. I did enjoy them. I think at least for like the first one, I had a lot of like expectations going in about like what it was gonna be, and I didn't exactly like get there for me. So I would say about 50% of the movie I kind of was just like, this is whatever. But then the other 50% was like really funny and really good. So that's kind of where I'm at with the first one, at least. The second one and the third one, I didn't, because I didn't have those expectations, and the first one kind of corrected my kind of preconceived notions about the films, that I didn't have as much of a hard time watching those ones.
Well, also, I think with the first one, I know me and you spoke about it a little bit. I think seeing I Know What You Did Last Summer would make a lot of the jokes, some of these jokes funnier. Like, you were saying how not Ray, Greg.
Yeah,
like,
the white dude.
Just so, like, unmerciful in this movie, and he's just screaming at everyone. And then, dude, the scene where they're in front of the pond or something, or like the fountain, and he just like fucking WWE's her. It's so good because of, like, I said this to you before, but Ryan Phillips in I Know What You Did Last Summer is just like this overly aggressive asshole for absolutely no reason. All of the other characters in the movie are so much more toned down and like actual characters than Ryan Phillips in that movie. And I just think it's funny that they go ahead and just like fucking go for it. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I like these movies, because I never really hear too many people mention those things about I Know What You Did Last Summer. Every time I hear about someone talking about that movie, I feel like they're talking too highly of it. I don't know if that comes off across as like stingy or something, but I think they made it work better than the actual movie that they're parodying did, if you get what I mean. Like the scene when they kill the fisherman, or they just hit him in this movie, like his character Ryan Phillips in that movie is genuinely acting the way Greg does in this movie. And that's what I find really funny about it in particular, is they're not even trying to do anything different. They're just adding a little bit more comedic stuff, like with him doing the WWE brawl. When he sticks his head out of the roof, he gets like the fucking beehive stuck on him.
Yeah.
And then he's like standing on top of Cindy while she gives what's his name, like the fake blow. I just say a fake blowjob, Bobby. Also, on Wikipedia, it helps with them giving everyone's characters last names, because I think it makes it that much better. Because
I did notice that
Bobby is Bobby Prince, because like Freddie Prinze Jr., like all those things, like Shorty Meeks, and Shorty makes a joke about being at the high school from Scream and being like, "Gosh, this is crazy. This exact same thing happened." And
yeah.
Those are like the type of things that I really find myself enjoying about it, is they found a way in at the first one, I thought a good balance, because they don't overstuff themselves with the amount of films they're trying to reference. Like I think some of the later ones like get kind of stuck up in.
Trying to figure out how to say this. Yeah, I definitely think having not seen I Know What You Did Last Summer also probably hampered my viewing experience. And I understand what you're saying in that, like, it for the most part kind of like plays it the same, just like adding in like little sprinkles of like comedic stuff. I think my thing is that not only have I not seen I Know What You Did Last Summer, but for me, the Scream movies are already kind of like meta and funny in their own right. And so when I was watching all of like the Scream related stuff, I kind of didn't feel like it was doing anything differently. And that kind of became an issue for me. I will say that when the I Know What You Did Last Summer stuff started, it definitely got more funny for me, and I did like the stuff where like they're in the car, and that's the kind of stuff that I really liked, where they were clearly just being like, we can do whatever just to make this funny, and it kept getting more and more absurd, and I liked that, and so that stuff really worked for me. But everything else felt so cut and dry and like overly close to the plot of Scream that it kind of didn't do it for me. So that was my thing.
That's the only thing that you were saying this before I was kind of confused about, because that's kind of the whole concept of a parody film. You know what I mean? I feel how many have you seen a lot of parody films? Because I know me and you haven't like spoken about them.
I mean, no, I haven't seen a lot. My thing is just that I understand like the concept of a parody film. I just still don't feel like they did enough as far as like the Scream related stuff was to poke fun at it as much as I thought that they were going to.
And I think that is part of like, I don't want to say issue because I don't have much of a problem with it. I'll just say like a struggle when it comes to writing your own film, making fun of a film that's already kind of making fun of that subgenre.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like it's not doing it in a comedic way in Scream. It's more of a
it kind
real.
Of is.
It is, but it's only funny because they're pointing it out rather than being like, you know what, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to do this, but then they still do it, and they acknowledge their own faults and stuff like that. Like that's the part of like why Sydney. I was trying not to say Cindy because I keep doing that in my head, but that's the thing that I like about Cindy. Fuck, I just did it, bro. Sydney. Holy shit. Is in Scream, she's socially aware of all of these things that the horror movies do through Randy and like all of her friends. I just think it's good that she points it out without being funny, and that's what makes it funny. As opposed to in this movie, I think with Anna Faris, I was listening to an interview, I think it was for Scream 6, not Scream 6, Scary Movie 6, since they just started their press junket for it, I think. And they were talking about how they got Anna Faris to play Cindy in this movie and why they thought she was like the perfect casting for it. And I sat on this for a little bit because I think it's actually a perfect reason as to why they got her is because she's not funny. She's the stiffest person in the world. And I think when you're watching this, you can feel that she's uncomfortable doing all these things, but not uncomfortable because she like finds it dirty or nasty, but because she's not used to doing like comedy or something in the vein of what these movies do. And I think that's inherently what makes Cindy a different version of Sydney while still keeping a lot of the same characteristics, but at the same time, like Cindy is just so oblivious to so many different things in this movie, or she's just like not socially aware of everything going on around her, that I think it just makes it that much funnier. Like I was referencing to you the scene like towards the end when Bobby comes back after being in jail, and Cindy and the group of friends go outside when the teacher's about to jump off the roof. And they do like a parody of Jennifer Love Hewitt from I Know What You Did Last Summer, where she just randomly goes into the street after talking to her group of friends, screaming, "Just come for me, I'm right here, I'm right here." And it goes to those things where I think it works a little bit more for I Know What You Did Last Summer, because it's not referencing all of the abnormalities that people do in horror films, but the film just takes itself so seriously that it's so hard to take what they're doing in that film, like, seriously, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I feel like I've been going on. I gotta let you talk, because I've been getting caught up in my own words a little bit.
No, I mean, I think for me, it's more helpful for me to, like, hear your thought process, because, I mean, it wasn't, like, a big struggle for me. I just remember while I was watching, every other scene I would be like, oh, that was really funny, and then something else, like, the next scene, and I'll be like, I don't really think that was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, I understand all that stuff, and like I told you before, I think knowing what I know now about like the style of the movies, I think on a rewatch I'll probably have a better time. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely funny stuff in here. I just kind of felt like half of it almost seemed like the Wayans were kind of too, I don't know if scared is the right word, but it clearly felt like they were holding back in terms of some stuff. And then just every other scene, they would kind of let loose and just, do the most randomly absurd shit. And that's the stuff that I found funny. Like the car scene, the sex scene between Cindy and Bobby is fucking hilarious. I was laughing the entire time. It's like stuff like that. But then, I understand what they're referencing and whatnot with the fight scene. To me, it just kind of felt out of place in the movie that I knew was parodying horror films, but then all of a sudden they were parodying like a Matrix movie. I thought that was kind of weird. And I also didn't understand like the Irish dance joke or whatever. So it's stuff like that kind of just went over for me. And I was just like, I don't understand what this is, like why this is in here.
No, yeah, I get it. And I was referencing to you that we got into a conversation a little bit about the Gale Hailstorm scene when she's doing the interview of that nerdy girl from like the previous scene. Like,
that's the only scene with Gale that I like.
Before I talk about that scene a little bit more, like, did you at least find it funny when the teacher just hands one of her students the baby with the cigarette in her hand?
Oh, yeah, I did think that was funny, yeah. I wish they did more stuff with that when they're, like, in the high school as well, because everything else, again, is, like, so similar to the way that it's structured and plays out in Scream. And then stuff like that happened where it seemed like it was actively poking fun at like these, and even like the joke where they're talking about like, oh yeah, if this were a horror movie, they'd get like 30 to 40-year-olds to play us. Like that stuff was funny.
No, yeah, I get it. But like going back to that scene where Gale Hailstorm, I just have to say her full name because it's like so unserious. When she's interviewing her, I'd mentioned to you that I think it works just as well now for me than it did back when it came out or when I first saw it, because it feels like the state of where like news journalism or just general journalism is gone, where they'll be interviewing someone when they're getting murdered, and then it follows up with like the most ridiculous Blair Witch Project reference of all time, where it's just like you go from one funny thing to another like that. That for me, I don't know. That scene just as a whole worked so well for me. Just watching her getting stabbed and she's trying to interview her. She's like, this really hurts. And then she freaks out and just leaves her and the cameraman and then starts recording a video about her regarding the cameraman's family. It's all that for me, I just find works really well because it all still holds up. And I think it's also the benefit that it's just a really weird coincidence that both Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer are both still relevant to this day. I didn't like that last I Know What You Did Last Summer film that came out last year. None of them have been really good in my opinion. So I think that adds a little bit of like a nostalgic reference. I don't really know how to put it into words with this one, but I think it being 26 years apart and the Scream films have kind of become what these films are a little bit. You know what I mean? With like characters dying and just randomly coming back, or characters looking like they're dying. Like how many times I complain about a character in all the films that weren't Dewey just getting vehemently stabbed over and over again in their gut, their chest, their heart, everywhere, and then they just survive. Yeah, dude, it's so obnoxious that I feel like all the jokes these movies makes about them, they all just kind of turned into what the jokes are in this movie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I will say though, this first one, I I'm figuring out a good way to say this. I'm always taken aback because I always forget how not politically correct things are in this movie that work out well. And I feel like people don't mention it in these films because of how they kind of write off some of the characters. And when I say that, I'm thinking about like Doofy in particular.
Oh, you mean with like the fact that they call him retarded and whatnot?
Not only that, but like it's very clear that they're going to the far end of that spectrum with this character, and it kind of seems almost ridiculous. But then the ending, it is. But I think them ending it with him doing like why am I forgetting the movie? The Usual Suspect, yeah, where he just like goes off in the distance after revealing himself that he's the killer, I think is what saves a lot of that, because they can easily just say, you know what, this was a part of his plan, and you know what, for what it's worth, no one would think twice about it. You know what I mean? And I feel like it also goes back to my thing that a lot of this already kind of feels like the world we live in now. And it's kind of been building up to that.
I mean, as far as like some of the more insensitive humor, I guess we'll call it, I think, and this is something that you and I kind of discussed a little bit when like the Scary Movie 6 trailer came out, and like it starts with like the pronouns joke or whatever, and like everyone started losing their minds over it because like it got like major backlash or whatever. I was expecting it to be more like you said, like politically incorrect in these movies, just given the era that it came out in, and you can definitely tell that this is a 2000s movie, but at the same time, there wasn't anything that I felt was done necessarily with like malicious intent. Like they're not making fun of the disability; they're making fun of the movie Scream, and that like Dewey's like a bumbling idiot and whatnot, and so they just like oh, what if this character was just like mentally disabled, and like they use like what's her name,
Miss Man?
No, Buffy, right? Buffy, that's the pageant
that's
girl or whatever.
Buffy.
Yeah, she literally uses the word retarded several times in the movie to refer to him. And so you're gonna hear stuff like that, but again, they're not doing it to make fun of the disability. They're using it to like poke fun at like the way that like these kind of movies are structured, and even going back to like the Usual Suspects reference. That's something that would happen in a horror movie, and we talked about it with the Scream movies. The dumb twists that they end up doing in those movies, in the latter ones. Not only is it a reference to like a popular movie that came out, but also it's making fun of the fact that this is something that a dumb horror movie would try to pull, and then you kind of just have it expects you to just deal with it. Like it never explains how that works or anything. And I don't know if I'm sure you do, but there's a post-credit scene in the first one at least that cuts back to Dewey, and he's talking to the vacuum, almost like like a breakup scene or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's hilarious. I loved that. But it's not with malicious intent for mentally disabled, or for the disability.
Yeah, and to go back to your point about the they them joke from the Scream 6 trailer, they kind of do like not that type of joke, but the whole Miss Man thing I think is also like done in a proper way, in the way you were kind of explaining, where they're not like making fun of people who transitioned at the time, but it's more of just the shock of Miss Man standing up and just having like these fucking long ass balls that just go through the pants. And what makes it work is no one's ever like actively making fun of them for having balls or something like that. And not Buffy, Cindy kind of has a reaction when the balls start dangling on her shoulder, which I think is where they could have like may had a step up by accident with this there, but I think them just like casually playing it off that Cindy's like, okay, yeah, thank you, works really well, because aside from the ball stuff, I think we've all had those interactions where there's been like, we're sitting down and a teacher, like a male professor, someone's junk, someone's boobs just kind of get in your face and like you start like kind of side-eyeing it. Like,
yeah,
those are the type of references that I think they did a really good job at balancing in this film, because even for mid 2000, this I think was also socially acceptable. So people probably did laugh at it for those bad reasons. But I think the film isn't trying to make them funny because of those reasons. Rather than people just being like, oh, his name's Doofy and she calls him retard, because, he actually is. But then the movie just pulls out the blankets, like, no, he's not. He's just a guy undercover who is just a third killer that no one knew about. Like,
I think it's just that it's less making fun of the people, it's more making fun of the situation.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what the film does well.
Yeah, I agree.
And it goes back to my Anna Faris thing, and why I think she works so well in this first one is because she clearly never knows how to react to a lot of things in this film, because Sean and Marlon, I've only seen a few clips of their TV show. I have to, yeah. Did you catch that reference at the end?
Oh, the joke that Ray made about dying? Like, yeah, when he's like, television doesn't make people murderers, canceling TV shows makes, and he's like, oh, the Wayans brothers show, we didn't even get a final episode.
Well, for me too, it makes it like a double funny joke because of Scream 5.
Why? What in what regard?
Because fans being upset that it's not a film that makes them the killer. It's what people do to the film after that turns them into the killer.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, I'm not saying it's like a one-for-one reference, but I think that general idea of them canceling their show is what makes them killers. It's, like, honestly, I'd even argue it for 7 in the same sense that Sydney isn't the final girl that she used to be. You know what I mean? So I find it funny that like those inherently come back up in the actual franchise that they're referencing. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I've seen this movie so many times, and this is the one film I feel like I never get bored by. Just I get the parts that don't necessarily work, and I'll agree with you in the sense that I definitely think that I Know What You Did Last Summer parody works a little bit better than the actual Scream parody. But I think what the film does well is making those two films like an interconnective story with...
Well, it's all written by Kevin Williamson, that's why.
No, yeah.
It's like the easiest thing to link with each other. And I think that's another reason why I also... You and me were talking beforehand that we don't think the Ring and Signs parody and like Scream 3 pair well together.
Yeah, and I think Scary Movie 4 and 5 just double down on the getting as many film references instead of just 1, 2, or 3 films that they usually choose from. That, dude, the 4th film, if I remember, opens up with Shaquille O'Neal and not Dr. Oz. Who's the one with like the pedo mustache that's bald? I can't remember his name right now, but he's like one of those famous TV doctors at the time. It's literally not a Scream parody, a Saw parody of them in the Saw bathroom, and it's them doing a bunch of ridiculous stuff just to get to the same conclusion that the characters in Saw came to, where they had to cut their foot off. But the joke being is they cut the wrong foot off. You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean Neil deGrasse Tyson and...
No. Oh my God.
Isn't it?
Opening.
I've seen that clip. It's him, right?
It's not Neil deGrasse Tyson.
No, sorry, Dr. Phil. Sorry,
Dr. Phil, yeah, Dr. Phil.
Yes, I don't know why I got those two mixed up.
I was about to say, dude, he definitely wasn't African American.
Well, you said like I guess I heard you say like TV a doctor, and I assumed you meant like scientist or something.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So, like,
yeah, I've seen that.
That's
clip.
what like those films do, and that's what I don't like them. And I think that's what these first three do well. Is even though I not the biggest fan of like the selection of Signs in the Ring being like this one giant plot meshed together, I still appreciate that they didn't try to overdo it with like 50 different film references where every scene was just kind of a new movie reference that didn't build off the last. And I think maybe that's why I appreciate at least this one even more, the first one, because I feel like the second one doesn't really do it. It stays pretty tight in a similar sense to this one with the films they choose and the references. But you start to see it a little bit in 3. Me and you were like saying before we started this that the third one, the biggest issue with it is by the time you get to the end, you're kind of tired of all these different references that they're throwing at you. Just because it starts getting like so absurd, so out there. And I don't think it helps with that third film that they get a lot of parody actors. You know what I mean?
You mean like Charlie Sheen and
like Charlie Sheen. Why am I blanking on the guy who played the president? He was in...
Oh, the dude from The Naked Gun?
Leslie Nielsen. Like, a lot of these people in... Like, even Anthony Anderson, I'd argue a bit, too.
See, and... so, the Leslie Nielsen stuff was okay when it started, but, like, every time it cut back to him, it had little to nothing to do with everything else that was going on, and I was like, this is clearly just them grabbing Leslie Nielsen and like filming some random shit to put in the movie. And like, it's funny because he's funny, but it's not funny in like a parody sense. And that was something that also really annoyed me. And then, you know, you just have like a bunch of random characters showing up because they kill off, what's her name? Brenda. And the Wayans aren't in this one. And so you're kind of just left with Anna Faris like carrying the whole movie. Outside of like Charlie Sheen, because Charlie Sheen's funny in this movie. Dude, like he's a funny actor.
Have you seen? You should watch his parody films on the Rambo movies. He made 2. It's called Hot Shots.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Dude, they're actually really funny, and he's a really good comedic actor. Like, yeah, it kills me too because I think like 2.5 Men is one of the funniest fucking shows of all time.
It was funny when he was on it.
That's what I'm saying. With him in particular, like he made that show, and there's a reason why it did bad after they fired him.
Yeah, but and I liked Anthony Anderson and Kevin Hart when they were only in like the first couple of scenes, but then they kept coming back, and I was like, okay, this is starting to get... And Anthony Anderson this is when I noticed like the change in like direction and like style, because while I think this movie has some like really laugh out loud funny moments, similar to like the first one, Anthony Anderson's character was one that I kind of couldn't get on board with, because that kind of did feel like it was making fun of, like, you know, the person or whatever, because they throw in like some what's the word I'm looking for? How do I say this without it coming off wrong? It to me, it felt like they were making fun of gay people. Does that make sense?
In which scene?
So in the scene where they introduce Anthony Anderson's character and he's talking to George, and like he gets super like touchy with him and whatnot, like that to me felt like the opposite of like the Ray character from the first 2 movies. I don't know if that was just me. That was how I took it.
I'll be honest, for me, it was like such a one-off thing that I didn't even really think about it too much after because of how ridiculous the scene gets into.
That's the other reason why I feel that way, because like they mention it like once or twice in that scene, and then it never comes back up again.
Yeah, and see, like, for me, I feel like maybe that's just them realizing that it didn't work. You know what I mean? Or at least that's the hope for me, because I think the way they did it with Ray in those first 2 movies, I'll say it now, we're masterclass in like fucking comedic performance.
No, yeah. I think what makes it funny is that everyone refuses to acknowledge it. But Ray also feels so comfortable in
his own skin and sexuality.
Yeah, and that's something where, like, with Anthony Anderson's character, like, the few, like, jokes they make about it, it felt really awkward and uncomfortable, and the intent felt a little more like to make fun of it just to make fun of it.
Well, kind of to add on to your point, I think what helps with the Ray character is you have, like, Bobby and Greg also kind of doing semi-gay stuff with him.
No, yeah, semi is
also,
a strong word.
yeah. Well, I'll just leave it at that, because that's where I think they kind of miss with the punch in that scene, is they don't have anything to kind of counterbalance that or acknowledge the comfortability
it's just like
of it.
Kevin Hart humping everyone.
It's literally
really weird.
Yeah, it's Kevin Hart being Kevin Hart, and I'll say this: I don't find him funny.
He's funny a little bit, but not a lot.
He's one of those people where after 20 minutes, I'm good. Give me like a 20-minute special view doing a bunch of dumb shit like this, and I'm good. You know. I really like Anthony Anderson. I thought the scene with him trying to get Brenda to come back alive was really good.
Oh yeah, that one was funny.
And you know what? I'll say this. I think Rex Ryan is actually really funny. Simon Rex, sorry. George.
Oh, yeah. All the
Rex
George
Ryan.
stuff is hilarious. And see, that's the thing. Like, I like his stuff with Anna Faris. Is kind of everything else is pretty hit or miss in that movie. And their relationship, I liked their dynamic more than I did her dynamic with the Masterson brother or whatever in Scary Movie 2. I think that works a lot better.
They have, like, no chemistry in that second film, first of all. And second of all, he's really just trying to fuck her in that movie.
Yeah. But I just thought it was funny that he's kind of like the only character in Scary Movie 3 that kind of has, like, an arc. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not subtle about it, but it I think that works in its favor because he's constantly saying, like, this pretty cliche stuff, and they all take it so seriously. And then by the end, it's such a major slap in the face when the ghost is like, yeah, I'm just fucking with you. This means nothing to me. I'm going to kill you. But yeah, I liked all that stuff. And the rap scene is hilarious. I was texting you when I was watching it. It's so funny to me that when he starts rapping, he's making fun of himself. Because, you know, like in a rap battle, you take jabs at each other, but then all he can fall back on is making fun of himself. And I thought that was really funny, and it fits his character, like, so well. And then the end of that scene is absolutely hilarious.
Bro, him just throwing up the hood randomly was just like, I always forget when it happens. Like, I always just, like, spit water out because it just comes out of nowhere.
It does come out of nowhere, but it's so fucking hilarious.
And it's the one time I think you see, like, any other character kind of break the facade of not living in actual reality to actually be in reality, and they're like, whoa. And I think that's at least what the third film does well enough for me, is it's when it's able to capture what the first two films do really well, I think it really hits it on the mark.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it just falls flat when it's everything else outside of that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, kind of going what you were saying, I don't think that The Ring and Signs were the most compatible. I'm going to put horror movies in quotes. Because Ring is a horror, while, like, Signs is more of just, like, a mystery drama sci-fi film, which is part of the issue. And you've seen Signs, right?
Yeah, I like that movie.
I think it's enjoyable, but for a good portion of the film, it's just a giant mystery and a bunch of, like, conspiratorial shit. And that's why I find it hard just in general to try and make fun of it. Because not a lot of, like, ridiculous stuff enough happens in it. It plays itself really seriously, and it's pretty dramatic. I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember it being a quite dramatic film.
No, yeah, it is.
Just from the performance standpoint.
My thing is that I think the only reason it's in this movie is because everyone made fun of it when it came out because, you know, it wasn't as good as The Sixth Sense. And the movie will never escape people harping on the fact that the aliens are, like, allergic to water, which I understand it doesn't make sense really, but also at the same time, it doesn't really need to for like the story to work. And so that's my thing. But whatever. But that's the only reason it's in Scary Movie 3 is because nobody liked it when it came out, and so they were just like, fresh meat. We can work with this for this movie. Now that the Wayans are not coming back to add anything good to this movie.
Yeah, and I think that's also the biggest thing is you can feel the Wayans missing in this from the writing and even the directing. Because I hate to say that it's pretty basic directing.
It kind of is, though.
It's definitely not in the same sense that those first two films do it really well, I think.
Yeah. It feels like your standard comedy movie in terms of from in a technical sense, like the way that it's shot, all that stuff. Not like to say that the
camera doesn't move at all.
Yeah, but not to say that there's not any good like camera stuff, and like there's good blocking and stuff, and that helps with some of the jokes, like when George is like accidentally beating the shit out of, and which to be fair, the kid gets the shit beat out of him the whole time, but when he's accidentally beating the shit out of him while Cindy's trying to leave, like that stuff is set up really well, and I really thought it was funny. But then there's just like some other random shit in here, like the news stuff is whatever, the science stuff is whatever, so Yeah,
it's the science stuff that really doesn't work for me in this film, just because it feels like there's nothing in Signs that is worth parodying outside of the one thing everyone makes fun of it for.
But they don't even parody that in this movie either.
Yeah, that's the funniest part.
They miss the whole point of why people didn't like that movie.
And it's
not a valid reason to dislike the movie either.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about the scene when Brenda fights the girl coming out of the screen. I thought that scene was all really well set up, and I thought it was really funny that she's finally asking for help. And I think this is just Nia Long. I think she's a fucking hilarious actress or actor in this movie. Just in general, that seeing her go to like all this dramatic stuff more now is also really funny. Because have you ever heard of that thing where like people who go from comedy usually wind up being in drama, and they're typically good at drama? She was in One Battle After Another last year. She didn't have a big role, but yeah, she played a definitely supporting cast in it, She's in it throughout the entire movie, but she pops up here and there. Regardless, I think that's where the film has the strong suit, is it still has enough of that cast, even though it's just two of them. I still think it works really well just for the two of them, and I think Simon Rex also just fits in really well with the type of characters that those first two movies have that I think the others don't really fall into. Like Leslie Nielsen, he's funny. My only issue is he's just playing the same joke from Naked Gun and Airplane.
Yeah, he's playing the same character. That's why I said Leslie Nielsen is a funny actor, but he doesn't fit into this movie.
I think that's the only reason why he was casted in this film, Leslie Nielsen, is because David Zucker did the Airplane movie, or directed Airplane. But the one thing I was really like, no way, is that Craig Mazin is a co-writer on this movie. I had no clue about that.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. I find that to be
all
the other ones too, the other ones without the Wayans.
He might be. Yeah, he did 3 and 4. And he did Superhero Movie, which honestly I do like. That's a funny fucking film with Drake Bell, where they parody Spider-Man.
I've heard of that one. I haven't seen it, though. I've seen clips, though.
That's another good one. But like, I think it would fall under your problem with all of like the first movie. First Scary Movie is, dude, it's literally almost a 1-for-1 recreation of that original Spider-Man film. I like it because it does a lot of funny things with it. Like,
I mean, I think if it takes the absurdity up a notch, then it's fine. It should be fine. That's just my thing, is that I think it's too close in tone to the Scream stuff, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that's fair. I'm trying to think. You want to go? I know we just jumped from the first one to the
Yeah, we
third
kind of skipped
one.
over Scream. We kind of skipped
I
over
know,
Scary
dude.
Movie too.
It's a fucking tongue twister doing
It
all
is.
this, bro.
I mean, I don't have a lot to say about Scary Movie 2. I think as of right now, it's probably my favorite of the three. I think it's got the perfect mix of like kind of the absurdity levels of Scary Movie 3, but also like the Wayans style from the first Scary Movie. And I think a lot of and it does help that I'm more familiar with like the supernatural horror stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I liked it a lot more. I think the characters are all kind of funny, and Shorty and Ray get to do a lot more in that movie. I I was texting you while I was watching it. I was like, Shorty's the only character in a horror movie to let a ghost hit or whatever.
Dude, not only that, the scene of him getting wrapped up into a blunt by a weed plant
Yeah.
is some of the most ridiculously funny shit of all time because of his performance, I think. Like,
Yeah.
the second his hair starts getting on fire, he's like, wait, keep cooking that shit, bro. Like, and everyone's just watching this happen, and his whole fucking hairdo's just on fire. Him and the plant are both coughing out of their minds because they're high as shit.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, bro, what is going on?
And see, that's stuff that I really enjoyed because it goes so opposite in the direction that you think it'll go. Like, the setup is pretty similar.
Typical?
Yeah, typical of what you'd find in a horror film. Like, you know, the stoner gets attacked by, you know, and like, this is something that we've seen in like other horror movies too that we've reviewed. Like, when in Evil Dead, both the first two movies, like someone gets attacked by plants or whatever. And it starts in a similar way, and then you just realize that he's rolling him up in the blanket to like smoke a blunt.
Yeah.
And then you immediately just like, oh my God, that is perfect.
And then Tori Spelling being the only one to scare the ghost because she's so obsessed with him after having sex. like
see, all the sex scenes in these movies are hilarious.
Dude, it's really good, and I think part of that is because with this one, it feels like they really just wanted to focus on one horror subgenre and one type of film, even though, like, on the Wikipedia, it references, like, a few more horror films than I'd argue this qualifies for. Like, this is The Haunting, The Exorcist. Like, they have Amityville Horror on here. I don't really agree with. Dude, it's also a spoof comedy of Dudes Where's My Car? I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I haven't.
It's a pretty funny film. But I don't know. I just feel like having it based around the like haunted house genre as a whole just works indefinitely in its favor because it already doesn't need to change its location like so many of the other ones do, you know? Like, at least with Scary Movie 3, Jesus Christ, they have to keep going back from the White House, the sign set, everything that Cindy's doing with the ring stuff, and the movie's trying to jump around doing all these different things where this film is in one location and all these characters are experiencing everything here. And it also condenses it to a relatively small cast. Like, I'm shocked they got Tim Curry for this movie, bro.
See, that's the only thing that I don't like about Scary Movie 2 very much is that I like Tim Curry being in the movie. He just kind of disappears from the movie. Like,
bro, he was too much money.
I know, like, they could only pay him for like a couple of days worth of stuff.
See, they should have made a joke about it. Like,
that probably would have been more funny too.
It probably would have been funnier.
Because I think I love Tim Curry as an actor.
He's great.
I think he's great when he's on screen in this movie. Like, the weird, like, pervy stuff that he did, like, his whole motivation is that he wants to get laid. I thought that was funny. And then, you know, he gets taken out by the ghost that was all too willing to hook up with Shorty. And I'm just like, okay, well, you know, that's whatever. But
oh my God, bro.
But I think overall this movie does a way better job at, like, parodying the movies that it's making fun of. And I think all of the casts kind of stand out well in their own and have equally funny stuff to do. You know, whether that's by themselves or like in a group setting. And this is one where like I think this movie and Scary Movie 3 parodying like an action movie works better than I think it did in the first movie. Like them parodying like Charlie's Angels in this, I thought was really funny. And then in Scary Movie 3, them parodying Matrix Revolutions or whatever the last one was.
Dude, we don't mention that fourth one.
No, not the fourth one, the third one. Sorry.
We don't mention that one either, bro. We only talk about the first two.
I thought that stuff was really funny. And yeah,
I'll say this: the first film, I think, does a better job at spoofing what they're trying to like spoof with the type of horror films they're doing with like the slashers. But I think Scary Movie 2 has an infinitely better cast. Like Chris Elliott and David Cross are so fucking funny in this movie by themselves that. You know who David Cross is, right?
Yeah, I know who David Cross is.
Okay.
I've seen Alvin and the Chipmunks, bro.
I wasn't sure, bro. I wasn't sure. I just think the two of them alone just make for better side characters than any in the first film or the third one. I mean, good enough that Chris Elliott's coming back to do what is he doing in the sixth
the long legs
character. Yeah, you're right. He's doing long legs in that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think the cast is better. And I think the character dynamics, I might have said this before already, but they're really a lot better in this one. I mean, I don't think anyone's doing a bad job in these movies in terms of acting. It's just in the first one, I kind of had a lot of trouble caring about anything that was going on in terms of like, not on like an emotional sense, but you know, I understand that Buffy is supposed to be like the slutty, you know, high schooler, but then that kind of doesn't go anywhere. And the same with like her boyfriend, the dude who's parodying
Greg.
Yeah, Greg or whatever. You know, I get that he's like the jock and there's some funny stuff with him and like his manhood and whatnot. But again, like they're in it so little that I was kind of expecting more from the time that we spent on their characters. And again, I think they're doing a good job. Who is it? Like Shannon Elizabeth, the one playing Buffy. I swear I've seen her somewhere before, but I can't.
Yeah, like, bro. She was in American Pie.
I've never seen that movie.
No way. You've never seen American Pie, bro?
But I don't know. Shit. I've seen her in something that I can't quite put my finger on.
I'm trying to look through her stuff to see like what.
But
you would have
anyways,
seen.
I think in the scene where they're parodying the part in Scream where Rose McGowan is killed and you know she's pretending to be in a horror film, like that, I thought she was doing a really good job. Like I was surprised at how good of an actress she was in that scene because like she was playing it up very well, and so you know I think they're all doing a really good job. It's just like the characterization was kind of missing for me.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I think that's because at least with the first film, they have a bit of a large cast. Yeah. In comparison to the second, and even the third has a bit of a large cast. And I think that's why I think the cast with the second one works the best of the three, because you spend so much more time with like the characters we actually like with Ray, Shorty, Cindy,
Brenda,
and like all these other new characters that are honestly just as enjoyable. Like I like Chris Masterson for like what he does. He's like the least of my favorite actors in this movie, but I think I just like him enough as an actor that I didn't mind seeing him in this.
Yeah, I think he's doing enough, and there feels like more of a point to his relationship with Cindy in, you know, the whole sexual tension thing. And the scene between them where she's like jacking him off is really funny. And I think the reason why it's not just because it's like a sexual thing, but it's funny because they're treating it like he's like a really emotional moment in like a movie where, you know, the two love interests are like bonding with each other and, you know, she's pretending as if he's losing his life and she's trying to save him or whatever. That's what makes it funny.
And then I think makes it even funner when he just blasts her right into the door instead of the ceiling this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm like, do you have like anything else you want to talk about regarding these first three? Just because I feel like we can't really talk about too much of the plot with these movies. Just because
there really isn't one, but
there really isn't one, and the plot they do have is very just taken from the films they're parodying. So
yeah, I mean, I guess the last thing that I had to say was I think Scary Movie 2 has the best opening with the parody of The Exorcist. And I don't know if you realize this, but I'm pretty sure
it's who you think it is.
The actress playing the girl is Natasha Lyonne.
It is.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool that she's in this for the opening.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I like the first one, the first movie's opening a little bit more, just because I just like seeing her fucking breast implant get taken out. She starts to
that
run
is a really
again,
funny moment.
But then her dad hits her because the mom's giving him a blowjob and they don't fucking realize it. And they also named her Drew.
Oh yeah. Drew. It's what?
Because of Drew
Decker
Barrymore.
Or something?
No, Drew Barrymore. Yeah, in the film it's Drew Decker.
Yeah, and I also thought it was funny that at the end of the second one they call back to that moment when Shorty's in the car and he's getting head from the ghost. That scene, I will never not find that scene funny, where he just has the bag over her head.
He's just like, no, don't take it off. Don't take it off. And then at the end of the movie, they're fucking again. Or, oh my God, bro.
It's hilarious.
So good.
Anyways, yeah, that was all I had to say about the movies.
You're right, because I think these first two are definitely two films that are easy to go back to. Like I never find them to be a hard watch, and the jokes that have always landed, just I feel like will always land. And I'll be honest, I think you'll like Scary Movie more once you watch.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah, I'm more interested in returning to Scary Movie just to see if my thoughts change on that one, and I'm sure when I go back I'll find new things that I didn't realize the first time I was watching. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into our ratings. Did you want to go first or?
You go first because I don't have Letterboxd pulled up.
So for Scary Movie from 2000, I gave it a tentative 3 out of 5, which, you know, going off of the new rating system for me means that it's like a solid movie. And so yeah, that's I think that's a good starting point for me. Scary Movie 2, I gave 3.5 stars, which for me means that it was entertaining. I think the jokes land a lot better, and I liked all the characters in the cast. Scary Movie 3, I gave a 2.5 stars out of 5, which for me means that it's watchable.
It's dog shit.
The movies that, or the jokes that are funny hit really hard, but then everything else after that is kind of just like whatever. Which is something that I didn't really feel too much about the other two. So,
yeah. So I give the first film a 4 out of 5. I'll be honest. I think the first one's just kind of one of those instant classic films. Just by the way people talk about it till this day, I still think it's like really high regarded. I mean, obviously, if they're making a 6th one now with the Wayans coming back and on Affair, like the fact that they got everyone to come back from these first two movies, it seems like, or the ones of actual importance. I'll just say the ones of importance. Like they got Regina Hall to come back too. Like I think that's a massive win. But Scary Movie 2, I gave 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't find the movie references as funny as I did with the first, but I liked the cast a lot more. But the third one, I gave 2.5 out of 5 stars because of like what we were going on before. I think a lot of the film has a lot of steam in like that first half, but then once it starts getting into the third act, it really loses it for me and just starts becoming what the fourth and fifth films become. And I think that's why I kind of really dislike it by the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other last words you want to say, Leo, before we talk about what we're watching next week and final wrap-ups?
No, I think I'm good to go. All right. With that out of the way, we can get to the good stuff. Um, so next week, we're not covering, an older film in prep leading up to a release. We're actually going to be going and seeing a movie that's coming out and coming back and giving you guys our thoughts, similarly to what we did with Scream 7. And something tells me we're going to have similar things to say. The Mandalorian Grogu is coming out on the 21st, so in a couple of days. And so next week we will be back to give you our unabridged, uncensored thoughts on whether or not this movie is going to save or kill Star Wars finally.
I hope it just kills it. Just put a fucking bullet through its head already, bro. I'm only a casual Star Wars fan, but I'm already tired of Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah, I don't know if we've said this. Well, we may have talked. We did talk about this a little bit when we did our industry rant episode about like the whole Star Wars stuff, and obviously Lucasfilm is transitioning with 2 new like presidents or whatever, with the retiring of Kathleen Kennedy, and this is kind of them pivoting a little bit, trying to get back into the theatrical stuff for Star Wars, and we've already had some thoughts about the marketing stuff.
Dude, the marketing's awful for this movie. It's probably one of the worst marketed films I've seen in a few years. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, bro.
The trailer.
I'm a casual fan, and it pisses me off.
Odd a little bit, especially in terms of like the VFX. Hopefully, that's not as big of an issue when we go to see it, but we'll have to wait and see. And obviously the reviews have started coming out. They're not great. So
it's got like a 55 or something on Rotten Tomatoes already.
Yeah, it was like
something
a 53 or something. Mandalorian.
Something low as fuck already.
Where is it?
Watch it be up to like 60%. Just fucking good enough.
Currently, it sits at a 60%. Yeah.
Dude, of course that would happen. The Star Wars shills came in.
But yeah,
I'm not looking forward to this, bro.
We'll be back with that next week, so stay tuned.
And without that said, let us know down below in the comments what you guys thought about Scary Movie, Scary Movie 2, and Scary Movie 3. Do you agree, disagree? Which one's your favorite film? Why don't you like some of the others? Because I feel like a lot of people, you can even talk about 4 or 5 a little bit, because I know not many people enjoy those last 2 films, particularly me. But without a doubt, we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace!